So when I was a teenager, the church my father ran had a large-scale daycare attached to it. And along behind the church building and the daycare, there was a creek that was a tributary off of the Brazos. Now, if you were alive in the early 2000s, you remember that there was a major outbreak of the West Nile virus. And in Texas, in the summertime, it gets hot and it doesn't rain a lot. So that creek had dried up, but there was one spot directly behind the daycare that had a really deep section of water, but it had been so dry that that water had been cut off from the creek, so it was just a stagnant pool of water. So we had to do something about that because the mosquitoes were flying around the stagnant water, and it's right behind the daycare. Major West Nile outbreak. We can't be having the kids get West Nile. So my dad sends me down to go get a water pump so I could pump all the water out of the creek. So I go up the creek and I pump all the stagnant water out of the spots, and I get to the main spot behind the daycare, and I put the pump in and I put the hose in and start pumping the water out of there. And I'm standing on the edge of this thing, and it's about a 5-foot drop when all of a sudden the edge of the creek collapses underneath me and I go tumbling down the side of this. And if you are the age that I am, you'll know that getting yourself hurt is one thing, but breaking a piece of equipment that somebody has rented or paid for is a different thing. So even though I was falling and getting hurt, I had to catch that water pump that was running off of a generator, and it burned me all to pieces, I'll tell you that. But I caught it and I shoved it back up on the thing and fell about 5 feet down, grabbing whatever I could grab, and all there was to grab was thorn bushes. So I burned my arms, I ripped my hands all to shred, grabbing these thorn bushes on the way down, and when I finally got to the bottom, I hit so hard and that water pump was so heavy and it sunk me down about knee deep in the mud. And so I'm there's all kinds of snakes and mosquitoes going all around me, and there's nothing I can do because I didn't even have a cell phone yet. We didn't have them. So I had to wait for a half hour for someone to come find me. Finally, my mom came tootling back there, said, "Hey, where are you?" And I was like, "Over here, I need some help." And she came and she said, Oh, let me go get some help. And I said, "No, don't go anywhere." And she ran off and went and got my brother and my dad. And then I had to wait another 20 minutes on them to, and I mean slow roll their way over there. And they're just moseying, and I could hear them chuckling a quarter mile away. And they just mosey on up and they're like, "Oh, do you need some help? Are you stuck?" Meanwhile, I've hurt myself in every part of my body. I'm burned, I'm bleeding, I'm stuck in the mud, and there are literally rattlesnakes all around me. And I said, "Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for all the help. You are amazing."